The Ray D'Arcy Show on RTE Radio 1. Proudly sponsored by Volkswagen. Volkswagen.ie.
Or ray@rte.ie if you're sending us an email. Now, I'm joined in studio by Emma O'Toole and her dad, James. Good afternoon to you both.
Hello.
Thanks so much for coming in. Emma has had anorexia in the past and she's out the other side. I suppose that's the best way to say it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you want to tell your story now for what reason?
Hopefully to inspire others and show that there is a way out for anyone.
Yeah. It's an horrific condition and it's tough, I would imagine, for you to retell your story, but that's what you're here for. So we'll go back to the start and we'll include your dad where it suits and where it's fitting. So what sort of a child were you?
I would have said I was a very anxious child from very young. Always worrying about something, and it kind of started out with like OCD and just weird kind of rituals at home with cleaning, and just always anxious. Even if my parents wanted to leave the house, it was like something bad would happen. I was always in fear of something bad. Yeah. And
have you any idea when it started or why it started, or was it just always there?
I think just from a young age I was very low self-confidence, I say. Didn't know who I was, unsure of myself, and I didn't know how to express it, so I was using kind of these OCD methods or whatever to kind of release something. Yeah. So
what way did your OCD manifest itself?
I think I kind of was hand washing all the time, and I was afraid to touch anything with like germs, and then checking windows at night. I would go around the house like 5 times, make sure no window was open in case someone might come in and kidnap me.
Right.
So it was a bit intense, and my parents like trying to go to sleep, I'd have like my mum used to get into the bed sometimes because I just wouldn't sleep for months like on my own.
And that was what age were you?
Probably like from 4, 5, 6 up to maybe 8, 9, and then I kind of settled a bit.
Okay. And when did you realise, looking back now, that you had a problem with eating?
I think when I was like 12, maybe 11, I kind of used food as kind of an emotional thing. So if I was feeling sad, I would eat loads of crap to make myself feel better. So it just became like a thing to help my emotions, and I soon realised that I was kind of a bit bigger than my friends around me. Yeah.
As in you had more weight?
Yeah.
Carrying more weight? Or were you just developing quicker?
I think I carried a bit more weight and I was developing quicker. Like I had my period when I was 10, so all my friends were like so small, and I could see my clothes sizes were bigger than theirs, so it really had a weird effect on my mind. Yeah.
Was that your own image of yourself, or were you getting feedback? Were people saying things to you?
It was my own feedback of myself, but then I had boys in my class telling me I was fat and ugly, and it really didn't help my self-confidence.
No. And I suppose if you're anxious already, that's going to feed into that, isn't it?
Yeah, because I was watching them kind of look at girls in a way that they fancied them, and then when they look at me, it was like, oh, you're disgusting. So I kind of was then kind of driven to kind of make myself different to please other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so you started to regulate your eating in a way. Can you remember, did you decide you were going to go on a diet, or did you decide you were going to cut out all junk food, or what way did it start?
I was in first year, and my home ec teacher was kind of going on about 5 a day and how important that is, and I just kind of took it on like, okay, cut out everything that's bad for me. I made up all these food rules, and I suddenly became a personal trainer as well, because I found an exercise bike in my dad's room, and I befriended that bike. I went on it every single day, no matter what, and I had a set amount of time and a set amount of calories to burn, and that just became my fixation with my diet and the exercise. It was just something I had to do. And
James, when did you think there was something wrong? Was this happening a lot before your dad realised it was happening?
Yeah, I think it was the summer after first year I started to go on the bike, and it kind of was just seen as, oh, she's just doing something different.
Yeah, I think the transition from 6th class into first year was hugely significant. Emma had gone from multiple teachers into a sort of all-girls, sort of mixed school, I should say, into an all-girls school, and the competition was just horrendous. I think Emma was getting comments. She's probably underlining or not telling the real story, but well, she is telling the real story, but I think an awful lot of negative comments would have been coming from boys in particular. Emma was certainly at the time she was swimming, did a lot of swimming, very good swimmer. So she was, I would have said, an athletic sort of build. And she would have been taller than her friends. And reference to clothes size, she would have been wearing bigger clothes. So Emma got a very negative view of herself. But I think also watching what her peers were doing and in relation to boys fancying girls in first year and secondary, Emma probably wasn't getting the look in there, and that affected her very badly.
And of course, these thoughts don't have to make sense now when you look back at them. Do you know what I mean? They didn't.
Yeah, no.
You were making sense of a world that you weren't happy in.
I think, like, if I just told someone that I was unhappy with how I looked and how I felt, it could have been dealt with. But I just kept it all on myself and was like, okay, I need to sort this out myself. But I didn't do it the right way, obviously.
Okay. So 5 a day. What were you eating then?
Just kind of what I assumed. I made like a healthy food rule, so if anything was outside of that I couldn't have it. So like friends' birthdays, I'd have to like study the menu for like an hour to find something that I could eat, and if I couldn't, I wouldn't go. And yeah, like at Christmas time, I remember in 2013 I had pasta for my dinner because I was too afraid to eat the Christmas dinner. So I had all these kind of ways of kind of controlling what I was eating. But people around me just kind of let it happen because they knew if they said I couldn't have that, then I wouldn't eat anything. So it was the lesser of two evils, you know.
So you were 14 there in 2013, you were
14 I turned in November, yeah.
Yes, yeah, okay. And when then did people around you realise that there was a problem?
Yeah, I think when my mood started to drop really low, and I was also self-harming as well. So I think people could see the weight loss. It kind of became evident, but I was kind of liking it because I had comments from girls in my class being like, oh my God, you've lost weight, you look so good at the start. Like I did look healthy at one point, but then went too far. So I think my dad, we went to a therapist. I was with a girl in college, like the counsellor, and she was like, I'm going to refer you to a therapist. And that therapist said she couldn't deal with what I presented with. It was too much. So she referred me to CAMHS, which is Child and Adolescent Mental Health. But I still didn't believe there's anything wrong with me. I just thought they were all bonkers. Like,
you thought they were. So can you sort of tell us a little bit about what was going on in your head?
Yeah, I think I was feeling so low, and I just was kind of like, this is cool, like this is helping me manage all these thoughts by not eating, because I'm kind of numb. Like I was getting dizzy, and it's kind of like when you're numb you can't think, so I can't think of all the shit that's in my head. I can just think of not eating, and that's helping me cope. So and everyone around me kind of saying stop doing that or eat more. It was like, don't tell me what to do, like this is helping me. So it's kind of like very defensive. Right.
As a dad, James, you know, and you have this lovely daughter of yours and you can see her suffering. Yeah. That must be the saddest thing ever, is it?
It's hard to put into words, Ray. Literally, Emma was wasting away in front of us. In December, we had gone to a private facility for counselling, and the lady there, therapist there, put her hand up and said, listen, you need a multidisciplinary team to look after your daughter. Your daughter is seriously ill. We then were knocking the door down to get an appointment in the CAMHS. So right through Christmas, nothing happened. And in the early part of January, nothing was happening. And then we eventually got an appointment. When we were seen by the psychiatrist in CAMHS, the psychiatrist straight away said that Emma was an emergency case. Do not bring your daughter to a paediatric hospital. They will hydrate and send her home. She needs specialist intervention now. I wrote a letter, an email, I should say, there and then to Minister James Riley. He was the Minister for Children and Youth Affairs. I contacted TDs in Malahide and in Swords, Fianna Gael, Fianna Fáil TDs there, and others, asking, pleading for a bed, because we were told how seriously ill Emma was at that stage. The CAMHS services said, if you have any concerns in the meantime, we were going down to them once a week, you can obviously bring your child into hospital at any stage. That happened, I think, on the 28th of February. Emma was literally dying on her settee in her front room. No ifs, no buts, no maybes about it. So we had to bring Emma into Temple Street. And over that weekend, we were very relieved parents. Emma got hydrated, would have been certain fluids, glucoses and other fluids put into her. And the hospital we were in, the paediatric hospital, did a good job that weekend. Yeah. Emma certainly picked up.
And this is it. You mentioned multidisciplinary there earlier on, and the thing about anorexia is that it's a disease of the mind and the body. Well, the mind affects the body to an extent that the body needs to be seen to.
Absolutely. The simple facts of the matter are, in the paediatric hospital that we attended, it became evident very, very quickly that they were out of their depth. They didn't have the expertise, awareness or understanding to deal effectively in an appropriate way with eating disorders. They told us, to be brutally honest about it, they told us that they had a full suite of programs to deal with anorexia, and in particular Emma's case. We believed them. We took them on their word. We were stressed out parents. We were caught in the headlights. We seen our daughter wasting away. That weekend, as I said, Emma parked up. She had a breakfast for them on the Monday morning, and they then said that your daughter needs to go on an NG tube. They mentioned marzipan levels to us.
What does NG mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
NG is like a nasogastric tube.
All right, so you put it
down your nose, yeah.
So is that sort of force feeding, is it?
Yeah, and in my opinion, I just felt it was wrong because I had said that I would eat, and I tried to eat that day, and I did, and they still kind of went with it, even though I think every patient should have the choice in how they choose to be fed.
Yeah. You were a minor, of course. You were, yeah. So how long were you in that paediatric hospital, Emma? 7
months, yeah. And I only went in voluntarily because I was told I'd go in for a day and be hydrated by my CAMS doctor. So I took that, and I was like, I'll go for a day and I'll be back here like at home. But I was there, for 7 months, and a bed became available for me, a psychiatric bed became available for me throughout my stay, but my doctor there was adamant that I wasn't going because I was being tube fed, but also she just said that they had it under control, which they didn't.
Because it's a two-pronged attack, isn't it, the treatment? Psychiatric and medical. So you were getting the medical help, but you weren't getting the psychiatric help. Yeah, like if someone read my page, say a few months into my stay, it would be like, she looks healthy on paper. So you put on weight.
Yeah.
Your blood sugar levels were up.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah, but my mind was like, I had shut down. I wasn't speaking. I didn't speak for 10 months.
Why did you not speak?
I think I was just so... When my voice wasn't heard the first time and I said I wanted to eat, that really was like, well, my free will is taken away. That's how it felt. And I think I was so traumatised because obviously I'm gaining weight, but the mind bit isn't been worked through. So I'm gaining weight and anorexia is screaming in my head, like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you getting bigger? But nobody's helping with that. So it's very difficult to deal with. And I'm also traumatised that I'm in this position where I'm being held down, and it was very intense. So I think I just was so scared and frightened, I just stopped.
You said there that anorexia was screaming in your head. I know this is tough for you, James. You're putting on weight. Why are you putting on weight? So can you explain to people who wouldn't have suffered from anorexia what the internal monologue that's going on in your head? So what is it a fear of putting on weight, or is it you wanting to lose weight?
Yeah, I think because like obviously you're not eating and you're so small, but even in the mirror you see this massive person. So when I was like so skinny, it didn't look that way. I hate that word skinny as well, by the way. Yeah. But I didn't see that in my reflection. I seen this massive person still, like the girl that everyone called fat in secondary school or in 6th class. So it's your mind isn't seeing what other people are seeing. So then gaining weight, you feel like you're even getting bigger than what you're seeing. So you're like, why would they do this to me? And it's like putting on weight, it was like anorexia was like trying to like tear my skin off. I felt like I was so guilty, like the guilt, I can't even explain. Like you've committed a crime. It's terrible, the feeling.
And you said initially one of the reasons you became anorexic is control, that you can control what you put into your body, and now that was taken away from you because somebody else was putting that stuff into your body. So that must have...
Oh yeah, like that. And it's like someone has control over your life. It's like you're not liberal, you're not free, and it feels like you're tied down. Like this, I thought it was my life for the foreseeable future.
So you didn't talk?
No.
Yeah, I think
How was that for you and Denise going into...
We can't put it into words, Ray, because the situation in the hospital we were in went from bad to worse. They lost control of the situation. Emma should have been... Our view quite simply was that the hospital should have been in a position to put a hand up and say, we can't deal with this. Someone should have been overviewing it within the HSE organisation, bringing all the teams together and saying, look, this is a problem you can't deal with. What's in the best interest of this child? Nobody did that. This hospital went solo. They told me they had a full suite of programmes. And yet, in September of that year, the CEO of that hospital told us they were fed up telling the HSE they can't deal with anorexic cases.
Yeah. And as a result, as part of the treatment abroad scheme, you were sent to Ellern Mede.
Ellern Mede.
Ellern Mede, yeah.
It's okay.
Can't read my own writing. Ellern Mede in London.
Yeah.
Is that the name of a woman or Ellern Mede?
Ellern Mede. The name, I think it's named after someone, but it's founded by 2 professors over there, and a clinical lead then took over.
And they have multidisciplinary teams to treat people with anorexia.
And they have a whole team of HCAs, which are healthcare assistants, who are voluntarily working there to work with anorexia. Like, they know what they're going into work with, whereas nurses here in a paediatric hospital, they're not going to work with eating disorder patients.
Okay.
You know.
So how did that change for you then? How did your life change?
I think it was extremely frightening to be in a whole different country surrounded by people with British accents, and I didn't know anyone. It was very scary, but in time I knew that these people really cared about me. It took me because I got there in September, so I didn't speak until I think the December, but I remember I was in a room with 2 HCAs, and I wrote down on paper, I was like, can someone help me speak? And they said, ask me some questions, and I answered, and we all just sat there and we cried in that room for about an hour because I had my voice back, and that was the day I changed. And it was like, I knew something in me was like, this has gone too far and I need to get out. Emma wanted to get out. She'd put up with too much from this thing in my life. So that was my turning point. And my doctor over there, I have to say, she really had my best interests at heart, and she told me if I worked with them I could get my life back in whatever way that meant, and they would help me, support me the whole way, but I had to do it. I had to choose recovery.
Yeah, that must have been a big day for you and Denise.
Well, the 9th of January 2015, Ray, parking a car outside ETB in Talla. I was bringing back a load of paperwork to the curriculum office, and the car speakerphone went, "Hello, Dad." And I can tell you, absolutely.
And you heard that voice for 10 months.
I said, "Emma, hi, Dad." Now, I can't put into words what that was.
Yeah. Of course, you were never doing anything to hurt or to make your parents sad. It's just a horrific condition, isn't it?
It was, because even like when they came to see me and I wasn't speaking, I felt so bad inside, but I had this thing in my head saying, like, you don't deserve to speak, you don't deserve to eat, you don't deserve them, it was like, you don't deserve anything. That's all that was in my head, and I had to fight that.
So how long were you in London?
I was there for a year, and I came home the following September 2015, but I relapsed and I was back there I think within 2 months, because I came back to an hour a week service when I'd been in 24/7 care in the UK.
Right.
And it just wasn't enough to keep me well here.
That doesn't make sense.
No.
And I think the disjointness in the service, I mean, the HSE is dysfunctional. There's no two ways about that. It's bureaucratic. And I put a term on it that the best way I could describe it is that they're multi-layered mishmash of incompetence. Nobody was taking the bigger view of what was going on. And it beggars belief the first time round that something could go wrong. They got it wrong the first time, then they could actually make the same mistakes the second time. It just beggars belief. The whole emphasis when Emma was abroad, the treatment abroad scheme, their only priority was to get Emma back. Emma was treated like an inanimate object. Systems, procedures, protocols and timeframes. Never once was Emma put at the top of the pyramid.
Yeah.
What's in the best interest
now
of the
they're
child?
doing a review of Emma's treatment.
Yeah, we attended a review.
The
HSE have again, it started taking a while to get this review up and running. I'm very sceptical about reviews because I think it's just a kick the can exercise, but we've been assured that the review that we attended on the 24th of January will carry some weight. Now we're waiting to see.
The important thing is that you have your daughter back.
She has her wings, Ray, and she's flying.
You look amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, how do you feel?
I feel really good. I think I'm just in such a good place, and it's not without the support of my family, obviously, but I have to say, for anyone, like, I had to make the decision to go on this path. It's very easy to get caught up in anorexia and choose that life, because you can stay with it and let it rule your life, but I just knew that I was here for more than that, and I wasn't going to allow it to take any more time of mine. And even though recovery is difficult, you have to just make the decision, like.
You were on Prime Time with Dave McCullough, and I would imagine you got a reaction to that, did you?
Yeah, I got a lot of feedback, a lot of great feedback, but I also got a lot of people coming on kind of sharing their stories with me, or their very bad situations with me, and I just want to say that I'm not a professional, and I can't offer advice in that way, because I could say something but they might not find it helpful. Someone could go to Ellern Mede and say that didn't work for me, so I just